Hello, in this video I have a replay to show you in the Minekaze. Now the Minekaze used to be easily the most overpowered destroyer in the game, and before, it must have been patch 5.0, maybe 4.1, whatever, back in closed beta and early into beta, it had, well, basically the first destroyer that got you 10km range torpedoes. And while they weren't the fastest torpedoes, just the fact that you could consistently and easily do stealth torpedo attacks against your enemies just made this such a powerful destroyer, especially since it's got a 39 knot top speed, which, well, just allows you to get into position very quickly and get into effective firing positions around enemies very easily. They took away those torpedoes on the Minekaze, and well, they buffed the guns slightly, but the guns are still awful. So now the Minekaze still has the same top torpedoes as the Izokaze, and actually the guns on the Minekaze are worse than the Izokaze, so the only real advantage this ship has over its Tier 4 equivalent is its speed. But considering that speed was one of the big weaknesses of the Izokaze, that actually makes this a very powerful ship still. This was one of my first games in the Minekaze, and you can see that here when I was spotted and I've been fired at, but I didn't actually realise I was spotted because I did not yet have the captain's situational awareness skill, just because I hadn't retrained my captain into the ship. So I took a bit of damage there, which if I had my captain's skills I probably wouldn't have, but I still managed to get my torpedoes off at that battleship. Put my smoke screen up to cover me while I retreat, but already the Minekaze, it's a fragile ship, so I've taken more damage than I'd like, but my torpedoes are looking good here. Very good, in fact. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 torpedo hits, which basically already puts this down as a pretty average game in the Minekaze. It's only a couple of minutes old, and I've probably already done 40,000 damage, so not bad. I find in the Minekaze, like all the Japanese destroyers, that I either have bad games where I just don't get any torpedoes to hit at all, and I get maybe 10 shells on target and do 10,000 damage, or I do very good games where I get, you know, 10 plus torpedoes on target, do 80 odd thousand damage with my torpedoes and a few more with guns. I don't often seem to get ones in between. And when I fire torpedoes at that Yubari, and there are some, well, it's just not a really good situation here. I've probably been spotted by those enemy aircraft. Well, there's a enemy Minekaze just popped up, made the situation worse, so yes, I'm clearly spotted. And there are, well, a lot of cruisers in between me and the enemy battleships, so it's just not very likely I'm going to be able to do much in this situation. I get my guns into a firing position, fire a single shell at that Minekaze, which misses. It's fired torpedoes at me, and unfortunately that cruiser, I believe it's a cruiser, managed to knock out my rudder. So I fixed that quickly because there's no point turning around in a circle and it's going to take me into torpedoes. And yes, I do stop well under fire because I want to be able to manoeuvre again very quickly, and stopping is actually the quickest way of getting those torpedoes past me. At least when I've taken that attitude towards them. But anyway, I think I'm probably not spotted now, or at least the enemy have stopped firing at me. And, well, for now I'm just going to scout a bit and wait for opportunities to develop. And I'm actually kind of optimistic at this point. It looks like the enemy team are largely pulling back behind these islands, which means that I might be able to actually get close and launch a few ambush torpedo attacks around islands. Unfortunately that enemy Minekaze appears again, and since I've spotted it, it's probably spotted me. I fired 2 torpedoes, but they're probably, well, based on the way it's turning, they're definitely not going to hit. I tried to fire away with my guns a bit, because, well, this guy's going to be preventing me from launching torpedo attacks, at least stealth ones.
Torpedoes astern!
Because well, it's just going to spot me before I get close to the enemy battleships. But I've actually seen a situation develop here. Basically this New Mexico, which you see kind of in the direction of my bow, it stayed on, well, the near side of this chain of islands, while the enemy cruisers and other battleships have all gone on the far side of the islands, and the Minekaze probably just pulled back behind those islands as well, which means there's going to be no one in between me and this New Mexico, and I'm going to be able to close in pretty close and set off my torpedoes and get out of here, and no one's fired a shot at me. So that seems to have been a pretty effective stealth torpedo attack. Or at least effective, and I got my torpedoes off. And that's really... oh, no, probably not stealth then. It looks like somebody spotted me and one of my turrets was damaged. I don't bother repairing it because my guns simply aren't that useful in this ship anyway. Torpedoes look good. 1, 2, 3 hits. Not as good as the last one, but we still took away about half the health of a tier 6 battleship. So that's still, well, a significant contribution to my team's victory. I switched to guns there, but because this was a fairly stock ship, my guns actually have a shorter range than my torpedoes, as well as having a horribly slow rate of fire and a horribly slow turret traverse, so they are really quite difficult to use effectively. But anyway, I'm coming in to try and finish off this New Mexico. With its hit points as low as it's only going to take 1 torpedo to kill it. So I fire off 2, and then decide, well, the Minekaze's reappeared again. I figured I'd fire a few kind of speculative shots into where it might be. At this kind of range, chances of me hitting an enemy destroyer, it's just entirely luck. So there's no real harm in firing on wide spreads, since I can't really aim anyway. I can only have guesses.
Torpedoes, direct front.
And the Minekaze looked like it was, well, maybe it was having a guess at me. It's actually probably firing at the ships behind me. But because I was there, I would have spotted those torpedoes early and given my team a bit better chance of dodging. Went to go fire some shells at that battleship just to try and finish it off, but well, didn't quite arrive in time. And so I figure I'm probably already spotted, so I take a few shots at Subari just because I can. And I can fire torpedoes here, but it's slowing down, which means it's going to be quite difficult to predict its movements. Well, just you have to assume that if the ship's slowing down, it's either going to continue to slow down further or speed up, anything but go the same speed that it is. So you really have to guess if you see it's in that situation. And of course I know it was slowing down because my grey aim indicator thing was moving back towards it, but I could see on the minimap that it wasn't changing direction. And yes, clearly it's sped up again based on, well, its speed from when I fired. But as I said, that was a bit of an unlikely shot to make. Anyway, our team's actually pretty clearly winning. We're not doing very well down the corner where I am. Well, we've killed 2 enemy battleships, in large part thanks to me, but I'm now pretty well isolated as all my team have either died or pulled back. But elsewhere on the map, we've basically already won. We're just reaching the enemy cap circle, and well, this is the last real area where there's any resistance. And when I see a New York-class battleship up ahead of me, and it looks pretty isolated. There's also a Congo-class battleship down towards the south there, but you'll see me a bit here thinking around, switching between targets, trying to think who I should go for. But the Congo, there's 3 enemy cruisers guarding it, or at least not really guarding it, but near enough to cause problems. Whereas this New York appears to be by itself, so it is the obvious target to go for. And, well, I said it appeared to be by itself. There's an Independence-class aircraft carrier down here as well, which is very good for me, because, well, it's always fun shooting at aircraft carriers. I come around, fire some torpedoes off at the New York. I decided to fire 4 torpedoes at the New York and save the last 2 for the Independence. And, well, wasn't really paying attention to where I was going, and I managed to run myself aground here. Fortunately, I don't do so badly, and I'm able to unbeach myself and keep going, and nobody's fired at me, which is very good. I have to assume that some or all of these aircraft have spotted at me, and this Minekaze clearly has. I'm trying to get my guns into a position to shoot at it, but turret first can't quite keep up, and I don't want to run aground again. My torpedoes aren't ready to fire, I just focus on getting around this island and away from my enemies. And that was me sinking the enemy battleship, and I also got 2 torpedo hits on the Independence, which takes away a lot of its hit points. But unfortunately, with the enemy destroyer right there, and also the Independence's aircraft kind of chasing me down, I'm probably unlikely to get in close to finish off the Independence. Managed to dodge those torpedoes from the Independence's bombers with no difficulty whatsoever. But now, basically looks like I'm going to have to be engaged in a destroyer duel with this Minekaze if I want to get in and finish off the Independence. Fire my torpedoes, but as I said, at this kind of range, very unlikely to hit. But my guns, despite all their flaws, they are actually pretty accurate. I managed to set it on fire. Fire off 2 more. I've got a 4-gun broadside, but my guns aren't quite on target yet. But see, I'm doing pretty alright here. I'm consistently hitting it, mainly because I think it's driven straight and at a constant speed so it can use its guns. My allies managed to beat me to the kill though, but well, we're about to win by capping, so that will be the end of this game. And well, this was actually one of the best I've had in the Minekaze, at least in terms of credit earnings. I got 207,000 credits in this game. I only sunk 1 enemy ship, basically did over 110,000 damage with torpedoes and a little bit with shells and flooding. So, well, that's the Minekaze. It's just a very powerful ship, especially, well, as I said, in this game it was pretty stock, but once you get the situational awareness skill, so you know when you've spotted, and once you get upgraded guns in particular, it actually makes the guns not good, and definitely not better than on the Izokaze, but at least a lot more useful in those destroyer fights that you see I kind of really struggled in. I would have been a little bit better at dealing with that Minekaze. The one kind of disadvantage I have in the ship is it's actually, well, its speed's good 98% of the time. Occasionally I'm actually misjudging my torpedo attacks because I'll simply be going too fast, and when I think I will finish my turn and fire my torpedoes off and be like 6.1 kilometers from the enemy and therefore unspotted, I actually end up about, 5.7, 5.8 kilometers away from them and just getting blown out of the water. But I'm sure I'll figure that problem out once just a bit more practice. And once I do that, the Minekaze is going to be a very powerful ship that I'm going to enjoy a lot. Well, I already do enjoy it a lot. But anyway, I hope you've liked this video, and I'll see you all next time.